Hello dear students, welcome to Chemical Kinetics part 2 on pen and paper chemistry. This is in continuation of the video 1. So in the previous video we did the reaction hydrogen gas combining with chlorine gas to give us 2HCl gas, and we had also written the rate of the reaction in terms of the change in the concentration of the reactants or change in the concentration of products. Now, since this particular reaction involves gaseous reactants and gaseous products, we can also express the rate of this reaction in terms of pressure. And not just pressure, we're going to express it in terms of the change in pressure. And which pressure are we talking about here? We are talking about the partial pressure of each of the components. So we've got the rate of the reaction being given by, so we'll have, just like we wrote for concentration. So we will have over here negative change in the partial pressure of hydrogen divided by the change in time equals negative change in the partial pressure of chlorine divided by the change in time. Now, those who are new to the channel or who've not gone through video number 1, request you to go through video number 1 in order to be able to connect what we are going to learn in video number 2, because these video series are in continuity. There I have explained why we've got negative and the value half over here. So similarly, again, expressing it in terms of the partial pressure of HCl, we will have half into the change in the partial pressure of HCl divided by the change in time. I repeat over here, we are going to talk where we do the rate of reaction, we take the change, okay? We don't take the partial pressure of the reaction mixture. We talk about the change in the partial pressure, and this can be applied only if all your reactants and products are in the gaseous form. So what are we going to learn in today's video? Yes, we are going to demystify, or we are going to talk and make it simpler to understand the instantaneous rate of reaction and average rate of reaction. And what do you need to do? Yes, you need to keep your pen and paper ready. That is, your pen and notebook ready so that you can take down notes for offline reference. Now, before we go on to the rate of reaction, we're going to take a very simple daily life example. So, for example, you are going cycling. You're participating in a cycling expedition because you are conscious about your health as well, right? So let's suppose you start the race at the speed of 10 kilometers per hour. And by the time you finish 10 kilometers, your final speed is 30 kilometers per hour. Assuming that you finish this trek or finish this 10 kilometers in 30 minutes, what was your average speed in the entire cycling expedition? Yes, it's the total distance covered by you divided by the total time, right? This is what we've been learning in maths as well. Total distance 10 kilometers, total time, because the time over here is in minutes, I prefer to convert it into hours, and 1 hour is 60 minutes as we all know. So divided it by 60 and we get the average speed as 20 kilometers per hour. Next situation. You started your process or cycling at 10 kilometers per hour, right? Now, when you started, I started the stop clock. At the time 5 minutes, let us suppose your speed is 12 kilometers per hour. At the time of 15 minutes, that means my stop clock is showing 15 minutes. Let us suppose your speed is 20 kilometers per hour. That means at 5 minutes, your speed is 12 kilometers per hour. at that instant. Hence, this 12 kilometers per hour is your instant speed, the speed at that particular moment of time. Both these logics we are going to apply to, yes, a chemical reaction. Let's see over here. Now I have put in a graphical representation of the variation of concentration of reactants with respect to time. Now first thing is you need to understand this graph. See over here, on the y-axis we've got the concentration of the reactants, and on the y-axis we have taken time. Here I have not mentioned the units, but according on the basis of whichever reaction you are doing, don't forget to mention the units as well as the unit in which you are measuring time. You notice the graph, there's a steep curve over here. That means the reaction goes on at a very high speed when we begin with. Then it is becomes uniform, and then what happens is it slows down. Just like your cycling, when you begin your cycling, you are beginning at a very high speed, you're full of energy. Then it becomes almost stable, and then you begin to slow down as you are nearing the destination. So we have got a graph showing how the concentration of the reactants varies with time. We are going to determine two things from here. First, the average rate of the reaction with regard to the concentration of reactants, and the instantaneous rate of the reaction. So when I say average rate of reaction, that means the rate of reaction with regard to the reactants, that means change in the concentration of reactants with regard to time, right? So delta R divided by delta T, and don't forget the negative sign. We are going to justify the negative sign again. So let's see how we do that in the graph. Here I have taken the concentration of the reactant at time T1, which is C1, concentration of the reactant at time 2, which is C2. You notice something over here? Your T2 is greater than T1, but your C1 is greater than C2. Why is it so? Yes, because the concentration of the reactants is decreasing with respect to time. So how do we represent the average rate? So average rate, RAVG. Final minus the initial, final minus initial, final minus initial, right? That is how you measure change. But as we said over here, C1 is greater than C2. In other words, my average rate is going to be a negative value, correct? Which is not possible. So what do? Is we put a negative sign over here in order to ensure that our average value comes out as positive. Now you understand why we have been saying all the while that in order to represent the rate of the reaction in the form of the concentration of reactants or in terms of their partial pressure, you always put a negative sign. Got it? Okay. Supposing this reaction involved, let's suppose, a hypothetical reaction, 2A plus B gives me C. A has a coefficient over here. So what are we going to do? Supposing this graph is for the reactant A. Then in that case, I've got a coefficient. So what am I going to do? Yes, I'm going to divide it by the coefficient. So in order to express the average rate also, I'm going to divide it by the coefficient. That is only if my reaction has a coefficient for that particular reactant. I hope this makes it clear. Are you noting it down? Because this is going to come in very, very handy. Your own handwriting will help you to remember the things better. Instantaneous rate of reaction. Instant means at any instant, at any point of time. So, if I'm taking the rate of the reaction as the negative change in the concentration of reactants divided by change in time. Now this time is, we are saying that this time approaches zero, meaning to say that the time interval that I'm talking about is very, very small at any instant of time. So let's suppose I have to determine the rate of this reaction at time t. What am I going to do over here? Yes, first of all, I am going to locate this point on the graph. Then I am going to draw the tangent at this particular point on the graph. Having drawn the tangent, we are going to talk about the change, or we are going to take the slope. So here we have our instant would be the slope of, let's say this is AB, slope of AB. And since we are talking about the reactant, again don't forget the negative sign. How do you determine the slope? Yes, you're going to complete this triangle, and there we go. There we go. Slope is the perpendicular divided by the base, gives you the instantaneous rate of the reaction. So let's suppose this point is M. So this would be negative AM upon BM, perpendicular upon base, or what some students prefer to call the rise divided by the run. And again, don't forget, if there is a coefficient, yes, if there's a coefficient, you will divide it by the coefficient for that particular reaction, or for that particular reactant. Have you drawn the graph? Have you marked the average and the instantaneous rate? Have you understood the difference? Yes. So what we do is, in order to differentiate between the two terms, what we say is the instantaneous rate is given by negative the small change in the concentration of the reactants divided by the small change in time, right? So you notice the delta sign over here and the D sign over here, which indicates a small change, the change at that particular instant. Let us now move on to the graphical representation of the progress of a reaction with regards to the products. And again, don't forget to mention the unit over here. So we will express the concentration of the products with their unit concentration, the value of time in terms of the units in which we are measuring our reaction. How do you think I can represent the average rate and the instantaneous rate for this particular graph? Go ahead, give it a try. So let's start with the average rate with regard to the concentration of products. How will you represent it? How will you determine using this graph? Give it a try. Pause the video, give it a try and see. There we go. We draw the lines for corresponding to the time interval T1, T2. So here, corresponding to T1, the concentration is C1, and Corresponding to T2, the concentration is C2. Notice over here, your C2 is greater than C1. The T2 is greater than T1, unlike the concentration of the reactants. Also notice over here, your graph is starting at 0. Why is it starting at 0? When you start the race, just start the race. You don't have any speed at all. You're standing at the starting line. Your speed is 0, right? So at the beginning of the reaction, there are no products. So we are starting our graph at 0. As the concentration of the product, as the reaction progresses, the concentration of the products increases and then becomes almost constant. Why does it happen? We shall discuss the details later on also under collision theory. So coming back to the average rate, again, the change in the concentration of products to the divided by the change in time. Now this is pretty simple, right? So we will have C2 minus C1 upon T2 minus T1. Simple. Do we need to put a negative sign? No. Also be careful again. So supposing I was talking about the reaction H2 plus Cl2 gives me 2HCl. Now here 2HCl means as a coefficient 2. Then in that case, I would have divided this expression by 2. That is only if this has coefficient. So I hope this makes it clear. Now what about the instantaneous rate based on this graph? So find out the instantaneous rate of the reaction at time t, let's suppose. Go ahead. So again, what do we do? At time t, we will first determine the point at which this time t cuts the graph. Then draw a tangent at this point. And lastly, yes, complete the triangle. So I will have here, and we will again do perpendicular divided by the base. So we will have the instantaneous rate of the reaction given by, let me say the graph here, the tangent is AB. That will be given by slope of AB. And how do we determine slope? Perpendicular divided by the base, that is AP upon BP. Right? So this helps us to determine the instantaneous rate. Again, if I was talking about H2 plus Cl2 gives me 2HCl, what am I going to do? Yes, I will divide it by the coefficient. Compare over here. When we were doing the reactants, the instantaneous rate was the negative slope of the tangent. Whereas when we are talking about the products, the instantaneous rate is just the slope of the tangent at that particular point. Don't you think it would be good to take up some numericals till the concept that we have covered in video number 1 and 2? So let's do that in video number 3. Till that time, make sure that you have revised and fully understood what we have done till now in this particular topic. Stay tuned, stay connected, stay happy.